It's not by chance that his last blessing that he gave to the world was a time on the greatest feast that we have of the year, where we celebrate Jesus' resurrection. That over sin and suffering and death, we have the victory in Christ and the resurrection. And at this time, at this beginning of the celebration of Easter, it's in this season that Pope Francis, after a time of suffering during Lent, he's called to go home at that time. And his last public appearance was wishing everyone a happy Easter and giving that blessing to his people. And so I think that for us, it's a great reminder of where we're going. We're celebrating Jubilee year this year as well, and we're called to be pilgrims of hope. And so Pope Francis really reminds us of what a pilgrim of hope means, as he lives his life as a pilgrim, and now he hopes to be fulfilled and be in that place of peace in heaven. Pope Francis, you love him or you hate him, right? He was as a figure that really touched people's hearts, and he, from the very beginning, after he was elected, usually the Pope goes off and he would take a ride back in a different special car. Like, he jumped on the bus with all of his brother cardinals, right? And he just would do these sort of things where he would try to build these bridges beyond these kind of social barriers that we have. And he by choosing the word Francis after St. Francis of Assisi, this kind of guided his pontificate, where Pope St. Francis, he was in a time of conflict and battle and the war. Also Pope Francis, in time with Ukraine and Gaza and Sudan and these different conflicts around the world, he preached peace. He was a man of creation, speaking about the responsibility for our common home. So he's speaking about integral ecology, he says, where the care for the environment can't be separated from the care for the dignity of the human person, especially those most vulnerable, from the unborn to the elderly to both poor and rich. He was a man of great dialogue. He was always breaking social barriers in a lot of ways. And so he'd reach out to people who have different faiths, different creeds. And he'd come together in a fraternity, giving us an example of how we meet with people who perhaps not share the same ideas as we do, but we meet in peace and mutual respect. And he was a great example of that way.